Audio. Hey. Okay, yeah, it's been a minute. Hello. Okay. Pause it. Monitor chat. Okay. So game update. This is my little dude. So he's got the little swipey swipe. Because last time in the previous video, if you enjoyed the 3 hours of me just staring at my screen dead, I was totally hopped up on caffeine, but I couldn't go to sleep and I couldn't really focus or anything, and I couldn't figure the crap out. Anyways, so here it is. He can move and he can attack. However, I've added additional things. So I'll show you the code and stuff here in a second. So he can detect if he's rising, and he can also detect when he's falling. And I've linked attacks with those things. Hopefully you can hear me, the music isn't too loud. But yeah, so he can double jump. Oh, that's the ground pound. So we can swipe up. You can also slam down. Trying to get there we go. So that's not any kind of inputs other than me jumping and attacking. So it's all these are context attacks. There's also a dash. I haven't made the animation for the dash yet, but the I guess the alien thing, it's just a kind of a placeholder. So doing that is the attack, and that's going to be the recovery. The flashing is the recovery of him getting back into his, I guess, running or his sword back up on his shoulder. I did that so you couldn't just spam the dash attack and just chew. Although if I can figure it out later on, I will make it like a perk, so you can actually chain your dash attacks together, so you can like speed run after you beat the game or something. But yeah, so it's really cool. So there's all kinds of context attacks. I will be adding directional attacks. So like up and then holding down and attacking is gonna do like a sword stab, and I can do that so you get like an additional bounce from enemies, or you can do critical damage if it sticks into the enemy. Yeah, so it took a while to get all this figured out. Also, I've been gone from my house, so that's why I haven't been streaming or uploading any content lately. But I have been working on this. From the last video to getting to where he can actually look like he's running and attacking took me 4 whole days of just staring at my screen, fidgeting around trying to figure stuff out. I figured something out that was monumental to moving forward with this, and I will show you what that is. So here we have all the beautiful code. So compared to what other people were doing in tutorials I was watching, this is infinitely more simple than what they were doing. I imagine it serves a purpose with the way that they were doing it, maybe for future-proofing stuff. I don't know how to do all that yet. I didn't have the patience to follow anything I was watching, so I just kind of hand-jammed it and figured it out on my own. But pretty much my concept of this is the thing you want to implement, find the root of what it is, of what's initiating it, and then try to figure it out at the base, closest to the source as possible. The thing that really made a huge difference was figuring out what the boolean did. Now the boolean, you see how it says set? These are switches. They switch on and they switch off. You can tell them if they're on or off by a little checkbox right here. So that's on, that's off. So every trigger, once you trigger it on, it's gonna stay on. And you have to have the opposite thing happening to make it switch off. And what I mean by that is this, for example, this little thing right here is movement. So So the movement goes to the branch, and there's a little condition thing. So is falling. Some language is a little misleading. Falling doesn't mean you're falling down. In this example, falling is you are not on the ground. So your Z movement up and down is falling. Is it more than Z0? So Z0 is going to be on the ground, flat, no movement, upwards. And then 1 is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So falling is anything more than 0. Anyways, so we have right here, I wish I could zoom in more, but it's not letting me. So is falling, and you have a little true false thing, right? So we already went over what signifies as falling according to this box. And if true, it's not 0, you're in the air, whether going up or down, and it's going to follow this line of code. So this little red box right here is constantly being hit, and it's checking every frame, is it true or is it false? So that's important to know. That's the return value Z. What is that, greater than 0, true or false? This just kind of puts out a number value for true or false right here. Without this, it wouldn't know what is true or what is false. You're trying to tell it something, and that little sign right there, the greater than, that's your bread and butter. Now, obviously, there's greater than 0, and then there's less than 0. So I believe even if you switch it back and forth, the only difference is the true becomes false and the false becomes true. So it's just a matter of switching this in your existing code. Anyway. So I'm just kind of using this as an example. I wanted to explain it from the source of the movement, why it was traveling this particular line. Because the true is going to be following this code, and it's going to ignore all of this junk right here, right? Anyway, so greater than 0, obviously there's a true and a false. So that's gonna allow us to choose the paths. So what this means is this is actually checking what direction is the Z value moving, I believe. So right here we have our switches. Back to my actual train of thought. So the switches, on or off. So you have right here is falling, false, is rising, true. And then down here you have the opposite, is rising, false, is falling, true. So the reason why these are offset is these are the switches that tell the, I guess they call it flip books because I'm using a 2D character. It lets it know what flip books to use, and the flip book just means animation, right? So is Z rising? True. So is falling is going to be false, so that's the switch. So the switch for falling is going to be gone. And then the switch for rising is going to be true, so immediately it's going to pull from the rising animation, and it's going to play the rising animation. Now if I start falling, then it's going to be saying false, because this value is now going in the other direction. So because it's false, is rising not true, is falling true. So now it's doing the falling animation. So learning these switches was really important. So these switches, and this was the concept that I couldn't find any information on. What really helped me out was just tinkering around like hell. But what I learned was these switches, they link to something. The thing they link to, you can set as a condition. Now, if you remember, we had condition right here for the true and false, and a condition right here for falling for true and false. So conditions are very important. Now I learned I can control the condition using these boxes. So we're gonna move, so we know how these are setting up the actual triggers for the condition. Now I wanted context attacks, so if I'm rising, I can hit the attack button and it does the rising attack, and if it's falling, it can do the falling attack. So what I do, there's a chain right here. So all this box right here, this is all just figuring out when I click the attack button, based on what the character's doing, or the momentum going up, down, left, or right, or standing still, what's going to happen when I hit the attack button. So it has to follow a chain. So is attacking is going to be true. So this right here is right here. So the input. So the input is literally just the program, is like the actual program itself. Unreal Engine 5 is, hey, when I do this input, which is my left mouse click, I want you to label that as the attack. Now that alone won't do anything, but it'll tell this box when it's pressed or when it's released. So by hitting the button, it's going to be like, hey, you are pressing what we believe is the attack key. And then ignore this right now. Is attacking is triggered on. All this is move cancel. Obviously there's some things that, like if you're doing a standing attack, you don't want to be able to jump while you're doing the attack. So this move cancel, whenever I don't want the character to have any movement input, directional or jumping, I just put a move cancel right here. And the reason it's false is because if I'm pushing the key and move cancel is not true, then it's going to allow me to attack. If I press it and it is true that the move should be canceled, and it's not going to attack because it's already doing something. Anyways, so yeah, press the attack button, attack becomes true. So again, remember, this is a switch, so the attack switch is now turned on. So we're going to come up here, and is attacking is the condition, and it's going to say true. Hey, we are good to attack. Now it's going to follow these conditions. So you see we have a condition, 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 condition. We have 4 conditions. So the first one is obviously is damaged. If you're taking damage, you're not going to be able to attack. So is attacking? True. Are you taking damage? True. So the reason why that's blank is because it's just not going to do anything. So the code is going, checking every frame, dun 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 right here, and you're not being damaged anymore. So now it's going to follow the next chain. Are you being damaged? No, I am not being damaged. Okay, what's next on the list? Is rising. So is rising, we already went over that earlier. True, you are currently rising in the air. So that's why we have the flipbook right here, which is the animation, rising attack flipbook. So it's true, so it's not going to go down the next one that's false. So it's going to listen to this. Now, this is what's really cool. Remember how I said that a switch has to be turned on, and then it also has to be turned off. So right now the attacking is on, and it's checking this, and it's saying true, you are rising. So rising attack. We're swiping up. Now, there's a duration that I put in for the duration of the animation. If there is no duration, then I believe it would just keep looping or something. The duration is pretty important. There may be another way of doing it. I wish I could just have it set so it could just play throughout the animation and then be good. But for some reason, I haven't figured that part out yet. Anyway, duration, half a second it takes to do the animation, to swipe up. And then here's the switch off. Is attacking? False. So we just completed our attack. Our attack is done. Or we did the duration. Are we attacking now at the end of the attack? No. So the switch is off. Without this, you would just continuously loop into the attack because the attack switch is on. So this kind of like an overflow switch of just turning it off and being like, hey, you didn't want stop. And then move cancel is also off, but that only counts for attacks that stop your movement. So rising attack, you're still moving in the air, you can still change directions in the air, and that's not going to affect you. So I guess here's a move cancel right here. So let's say we're not rising. Next one is, are we falling? So yes, we are falling. So the flip book is going to be falling attacks flip book. Now it knows the animation, it's doing the animation. Move cancel. Now, if I did a ground pound, and as I land on the ground, I can rapidly hit the A and D, which is the left and right, and his animation would keep going, and I'd just be able to flip left and right. And that would make the hitbox be able to rapidly change, and you just damage everything around you. Sounds cool, would be a nice exploit, but I don't want that. So move cancel prevents you from switching back and forth. So now the move cancel switch is on. You cannot move right now. Now without an off switch, you would never be able to move again. Duration 1 second, because it's a longer animation. You follow this white line all the way over here. Then is attacking off, because we're turning that switch off. And then move cancel is false, so that means you can move again. And then of course you start getting more complicated. This one was pretty hard to figure out. The is running dash attack. Essentially, it's a dash attack. I found a way to make it speed up the character, but it was it took a good day of tinkering to figure out this line of code. Pretty much is running true, which just means your input is being put in left and right. We have a placeholder die animation right here. Then we have is right. So is the character moving left, right? So the X value is the X value for the velocity. What do they call it? It's like it's, I don't know. There's like there's a box thing that can detect the velocity, but not really by a number. It's like stretching it or something. I don't know, it's weird, but it kind of lets you know, is it stretching in this way or is it stretching in that way? Meaning it's not giving it like a numerical value. I think I'm still pretty new to all this. Anyway, so is it stretching specifically in the right direction? True. So then it's going to give this input. Is it specifically stretching in this direction? False. Then it's going to give this input. So this right here allowed me to actually do the dash attack in both directions. That was probably the hardest part to figure out of this. Then a duration for the animation itself. Then had another flip book that was after the dash attack, because without this section right here, you just keep spamming it. As soon as it was over, you just go into another dash attack. So added another flip book, which is going to end up being the recovery flip book to actually slow it down. And then we have the move cancel, because I don't want you to be able to move while you're recovering it. Leaves you open to attack, and you have to be careful, make sure you actually land your stuff. I do want to make it so if you land your dash attack, there won't be a recovery, so I'll have to figure out how to incorporate that with this once I get enemies and I can actually have an is hit trigger, and then place that around here, because I want combat to be quick, but I don't want it to be rushed, because if you rush your combat, you start missing stuff a lot, and I want you to be punished with recovery animations and like staggers and stuff. Like if you do the dash attack and you don't hit anything, you're just gonna fall in your freaking face or something. It'll be punishing, but it'll reward you with better combat if you strategically use your attacks and actually hit stuff. So yeah, is attacking is false, so that's, I had to put it right here to prevent you from spamming it, because the is attack way up here is still on, otherwise it would keep repeating this flip book, I believe. And then duration for that, so it's move canceling, duration for 1 second, so you're stopped recovering, and then it's going to keep going. It's going to keep the is attacking right here, move cancel, it's going to turn that off so you can move again. So yeah, the Boolean right here was absolutely huge in figuring out, and I couldn't really find anything online that helped me make that connection. I was literally like, I was following the tutorials, and they just said put this here and make a Boolean this and click here. It's like they didn't understand that these were they weren't explaining that these were connected, and that was huge to me. And there's plenty of other things that, like, this is Boolean. There's what? There's byte, integer 64, float. They were talking about float quite a bit. I don't really know what that does yet. Name, string, text, vector, rotator, and transform. So there is a lot more of these style of things that I have no clue what they mean, but I will eventually figure it out. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I have right now. This is the hardwired section, which is like the base of how the character functions. We have the event task, or the event tick, which is essentially every frame it's checking this. And then we have the is attacking and movement, which obviously the movement and the attacking is probably the most important thing on the entire character. So I need every frame for it to be detecting movement and to be detecting if I'm attacking or not. That's why the is attacking true, then it's going to follow the is attacking flipbook, or the is attacking chain of code. So if you look, this says is attacking, this says is attacking. So these are connected. The blue just allows it to kind of like tell the event tick if true is attacking, and then it's going to be like, okay, that means I'm going to teleport over here and follow this line of code. And then that's the attack that I explained. Then of course we have the input action jump, which is just, is jump pushed, is jump released, what happens when it does that. This is another so yeah, anything past this point, so that's going to be super complicated for me to explain. Just troubleshooting the absolute crap out of this. We got a bunch of chains right here. Am I falling false? I'm on the ground. Then it's going to be condition is, what is that? Am I moving left or am I moving right? Is right true? Is right false? And then regardless of it, it's going to be asking, because remember, this allows me to differentiate left and right movement, or velocity. And that's what allows me to actually dash left and dash right. And then, because I'm on the ground, is falling false, because I'm not falling. This allows me to cancel out certain things with the condition. And then is rising, nope, I'm on the ground, so that's false. So that helps cancel out the is rising right here as well. So yeah, that's the basics of what I've figured out so far. It's so cool. Little upwards backslash. Ground pound. I like it. He also has to have full velocity running to actually initiate the dash. So it's like a little bit of a recovery. Yeah. No spamming dash. Okay, and that's it. Yeah.